A traffic nightmare, the emergency fix on the Richmond-San Rafel bridge that's causing backups for miles. Plus, workers in downtown Oakland say the recovery is moving slower than they thought.
You know, it felt like a ghost town lately.
I mean, I think people just don't want to come into the office if they don't have to.
Well, starting today, city workers have to come in, but will it actually make a difference downtown? What we found out during the lunch hour.
Emergency vehicle reported ahead.
A new tool helping clear the roads for first responders and save previous seconds on the way to an emergency.
You know, you can tell when people have a little bit of a heads up that we're coming because they could be 2 or 3 cars ahead and they're already starting to pull over.
So just kind of aim more up here and then you'll get a mid-body.
Whew. All right, we're going to meet a Northern California professor who travels the state singing the praises of rattlesnakes and teaching people how to deal with them humanely. And then later, it is a story he'll be telling the rest of his life. A Bay Area man recounts his close call with a shark.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. It sure feels like Monday for thousands of Bay Area commuters. Emergency repairs have forced lane closures on the Richmond-San Rafel bridge for hours. So here's a live look from the westbound toll plaza. Traffic barely even crawling, where 4 lanes are converging down to 1. And then here's a look at our live traffic map. So you can see the red in both directions of the bridge. Southbound traffic on 101 backed up all the way to Novato, and gridlock also spilling over onto Sir Francis Drake Boulevard in Green Bay, that is. Just too many cars trying to head east. So our Lauren Toms has been following it all this afternoon. She joins us now with the latest on those repairs. Hi, Lauren.
Yeah, hey, Julia, just in the last hour, Caltrans telling us they were able to open a second lane on the lower level of the Richmond-San Rafel bridge coming eastbound. So traffic coming eastbound starting to lighten up just a little bit on this side of the bridge, but you can see the traffic behind me. That is going westbound towards Marin across the upper part of the bridge. It has been crawling like this for hours since crews were deployed in the 11 o'clock hour this morning to repair about what we're told was a 3-inch pothole that caused a split that went all the way through the concrete on the upper deck. And we got photos from Caltrans that actually showed the damage on the lower part of that upper deck in the central part of the bridge. Now, that split causing major concerns of any falling debris, falling concrete. Now, we did not hear of any reports of falling debris or concrete, but Caltrans telling us that made it even more important that they rushed out here to get these repairs done to prevent any major damage.
Well, 3 inches, it's about like that, right? So that's about the space of it. Concrete spalling, like a divot, has been cut out. The concrete is compromised, so if you saw it from the under part, you would see concrete squares kind of held together by the metal mesh that's on the inside of it. So it's all compromised. It's a small localized area that has to be cut out and repoured. Well, we don't want it to continue or propagate. So if that keeps getting hammered by traffic, it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. So by closing it immediately, we've lowered the amount of damage that will happen so that the fix is easier.
Now, we also spoke with an engineer who actually worked on the Richmond-San Rafel bridge after the 89 Loma Prieta earthquake for some seismic retrofitting. He tells us it's pretty unusual that a pothole could cause that split through the concrete like that, but that it shouldn't spread any further. This should not be a contagious issue here. So the structural integrity of this bridge, he tells us, should be sound. So safety there, not too much of a concern at this hour. The big concern right now is this traffic that continues to crawl on both sides of this bridge. Caltrans telling us that they have successfully completed the repairs, but now they have to wait for the concrete that they poured to fully cure and dry. That's expected to take another few hours. So we're told the earliest all lanes can expect to be open here at the Richmond-San Rafel bridge will be closer to the 8 o'clock hour tonight, Juliette.
All right, good information, Lauren. Thank you. You know, you might recall back in 2019, Lauren was telling us about certain instances, large chunks of concrete fell from the bridge and shut it down entirely. Caltrans tells us today's issue is not related to that at all. All right, on to some breaking news right now, where out of Fairfield, where a wildfire has forced evacuations. It's burning near the intersection of Vista Grande and Capitola Way. CAL FIRE says it started just after 4. So there you go. You can see the flames moving toward homes right now. The smoke there. The evacuations are for the area of Palmer Circle, Bear Creek Drive, and Skyview Circle. Evacuees can meet at the Lowe's on North Texas Street. CAL FIRE has brought in 2 airplanes and a helicopter to fight the fire. After several delays, the city of Oakland finally set today as the deadline for city employees working remotely to return to the office. The mandate is supposed to help improve city operations while bringing life back to the downtown area. But as John Ramus found out, it's off to a pretty slow start.
For most people, the pandemic shutdown ended years ago, but in Oakland, it officially ended today. But if bringing back all the workers to the office was supposed to revitalize downtown, well, they still have a lot of work to do. Oakland City Center is a food venue across the street from City Hall. Jennifer Gemmel, a state worker, eats here nearly every day and remembers what it was like before the pandemic.
It was packed. I mean, it was hard to find a place to sit. You know, Fountain Cafe was open, and Jamba Juice, and La Salsa, Max's. I mean, it's a ghost town now.
It's hard to believe that this is what the lunch hour looks like just across the street from where the city is operated. But the truth is, there aren't many people working in the offices anyway, and haven't been for years. So last week, City Administrator Justin Johnson sent a reminder about today, saying, quote, effective on that date, the City of Oakland will require that all city employees report to the office or workplace a minimum of 3 work days per work week, end quote. It's only 3 days a week, but there didn't seem to be much response, with one of the employee unions saying the matter had still not been fully negotiated and telecommuting workers should register their current telecommuting schedule.
I mean, I think people just don't want to come into the office if they don't have to. And people don't want to come to downtown Oakland if they don't have to.
But that didn't do much to revitalize downtown. Sandra Alvarez works at the Sandwiches restaurant.
Yes, it was pretty serious. It was pretty slow today. We expected everybody to come back to work. It's probably 60% less people than it usually is around here. The plaza is empty. You know, everybody's closing down around here. Starbucks closed down too. Starbucks used to do like 15,000 a day. Like, they couldn't even keep up with business here. There's no sales anymore.
Anything else?
That's it, thanks.
But Mohammed Hamzi says he's only making it because his Marhaba Cafe is one of the only places left open. But in recent years, he never would have had time to talk to a reporter at lunchtime.
Before, we were like super busy. We don't have time to talk to anybody right now. You know, we were like, okay, hustle, going out. But now we're just like relaxing. We're just trying to make it day by day, you know.
Hamzi says he is willing to stick it out for at least one more year, mainly because he loves his city. But no one can survive this for long.
Fortunately, that's what it is right now. That's what happened after the pandemic. And we were waiting for people to come back to the office so we can keep going.
Downtown Oakland has a lot of problems, including a workforce that doesn't seem to want to come back and a city that can't really afford to pay them anyway.
So we asked the city for the number of remote workers who may have returned to the office today. So far, we have not received a response. As for other cities, San Francisco workers will return to the office August 18th. It was supposed to happen in April, but the mayor delayed the deadline after pushback from unions. However, state employees will be required to return to office at least 4 days a week starting July 1st. So we're getting some new insight into the mindset of the suspect accused of killing a beloved teacher in Oakland after a CHP chase. His attorney spoke out in court today. Eric Hernandez Garcia has not yet entered a plea. We caught up with his attorney after the hearing, who says the 18-year-old panicked when he saw he was being pursued. CHP officers wanted him for felony evasion. They eventually backed off the chase. They say he was still driving recklessly when he hit 2 people on an evening walk in East Oakland, killing one of them. Hernandez Garcia's lawyer describes her client's side of the story before the deadly collision.
He initially saw a police officer pull up very fast to his car as he was leaving a store buying snacks. And after that, the officer pulled away. He doesn't know why he did that, but it triggered something. And so then he asked the teacher, what should I do? And she said, come over. We'll calm you down. Come over. You've done nothing. And as he was going to her house, another officer was behind him.
She went on to say her client is too young to really understand what happened. Hernandez Garcia is expected to be back in court June 20th. Castlemont High School teacher Dr. Marvin Boomer was killed in that crash. A vigil was held just hours after the school's graduation ceremony on Friday. Students say he was a mentor and a role model for so many. Boomer's partner, Michelle Bernard, survived the crash. She released a statement saying he gave up his life to save her and that she lost the love of her life. She's asking for privacy at this time. When emergencies and crashes happen, firefighters are often the first ones at the scene. Now, a fire department in Marin County has a new tool to help them respond even faster. Kara St. Cyr explains why it means tapping into your phone.
With several years on the force, Captain Dean Riddle knows that seconds are a matter of life and death.
You know, nowadays with the cars and how they're built, cars are designed to be quiet on the inside so that way you can hear what you're doing, what you're listening to. Unfortunately, they're so soundproof that a lot of the outside doesn't necessarily come in.
Although state laws mandate motorists move over for emergency vehicles, firefighters often push through congested roads to get to an emergency situation.
Emergency vehicle reported ahead.
But a new tool could help pave the way. The Southern Marin Fire District now has the Safety Cloud, an alert system that notifies drivers when an emergency vehicle is nearby.
And it was reported by a Haas alert 48 seconds ago.
All Riddle has to do is switch on his lights.
The Haas alerting system is tied into this system here. So once we turn the lights on, it will automatically activate the alerting system.
Apple Maps, Google Maps, and cars made in 2018 or later will get a notification, providing time for the driver to pull over.
Seeing it happen in real time is a definite benefit for us. You know, you can tell when people have a little bit of a heads up that we're coming because they could be 2 or 3 cars ahead and they're already starting to pull over.
Fire Chief Chris Tubbs says the technology can help save lives.
This is about trying to increase the safety to our firefighters who respond to our emergencies, our law enforcement officers, and the highway workers who are out there with us on those motor vehicle accidents.
The Safety Cloud is already installed, and the lights, they're ready to go.
Really neat actually to see it happening in real time.
With a safer route for everyone.
So the alert system is designed to give drivers a 30-second warning an emergency vehicle is coming. All right, still ahead here at 6, we'll introduce you to a researcher rising to the defense of rattlesnakes.
We need to respect them, okay? And they're going to be here, and they're going to be here no matter what.
Okay, I'll respect them. How she's equipping others to handle them with care and keep the ecosystem thriving. Plus, an extremely close call at a Bay Area beach. We're going to hear from the surfer who watched a shark take a bite out of his board.
It felt like I couldn't paddle fast enough. It felt like I'm in slow motion while I was trying to get away.
So most people are not big fans of rattlesnakes right there. They look mean, sound scary. They can pack a deadly bite, but there's a lot of good snakes out there, and they do a lot of good for our ecosystem as long as you keep your distance. Brian Hackney introduces us to a Northern California professor who travels all over the state, and we mean all over, teaching others how to deal with rattlers humanely.
Out beyond the highways of the western deserts, past the palm trees of Palm Springs, where the desert towns sprawl over the desert itself, snakes begin to emerge from their long winter's nap, and that gets residents very rattled.
This is a community that is really interested in wildlife and nature.
Mitch Spike heads up security for the residents out here.
They don't like killing animals, so I had to try to find an alternative.
Oh my God, I love him.
So Mitch engaged the expert.
Such a mellow species of snake. Hi, nice to see you too. My name's Emily, and I'm a biology professor at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where this June is my 20-year anniversary.
Today, she's got a classroom full of security guards.
You don't need to like rattlesnakes like I do, right? You were just saying rattlesnakes aren't your favorite, but we need to respect them, okay? And they're gonna be here, and they're gonna be here no matter what.
And when they are, the first people called are the guards.
And they need to learn how to safely move those rattlesnakes out of the way instead of killing them. It's an ethical thing to do.
That may have the nearby bighorns scratching their heads, but in a classroom at the Boyd Deep Canyon Reserve, these folks have signed up to learn how to safely snag a snake.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get the snake out right now. We're just gonna get the snake out, and we're gonna catch that snake.
And listen to this. That's the actual snake rattling.
Handsome. So this is a nice, big, speckled rattlesnake. They get bigger than this, though. That was great.
It's one thing to get them out.
If the snake crawls towards you, please back away and stay about 10 feet away from the snake.
Oh, don't come after the cameraman.
Kind of support the body a little bit, like so, to help get him into the bucket like that.
Finesse is important. About 2,000 people a year are bitten by rattlesnakes.
This was a $600,000 medical bill to a Boy Scout that was bitten by a rattlesnake. A full $150,000 of that was for the anti-venom. Okay, are you ready? Who's ready?
That's why they need this training.
So I pick up the snake by mid-body, and I'm gonna put him into the bucket head first if I can't get him all the way in. Oh, he's gonna be a good training snake. Okay, so let's have some of the experienced folks go first. A great adjustment. So just kind of aim more up here, and then you'll get a mid-body. Nice job. You've got him right in a good spot. It is really funny looking back how you find yourself in this niche specialty of being a venomous snake specialist. Do your best to try to get him in there. They were such fascinating animals. Oh, great adjustment. Nicely done. And also people have learned that these animals are really important for our ecosystem. They help control rodents. The mothers give birth to live babies. And when people learn all these things about them, they don't quite see them as vermin anymore, and they want to be able to relocate them. Unfortunately, snakes are really negatively portrayed in most places on TV and the internet. Handsome. What I really wish people understood was that these are complicated, fascinating animals that do far more good for us than they do harm. Great adjustment. Like a pro. I love it. And that's what I'm trying to change their reputation.
One snake charming class.
Snake pose. There we go.
At a time.
2, 3. All right.
Nicely done.
I love when she goes, hey, handsome. All right, if you want to recruit Dr. Taylor for a lesson on removing rattlesnakes or first aid when someone gets bit, you can reach out through her website, emilytaylorscience.com. Do not call Paul Hagen.
No, I'm going to leave that to the experts. Right now, we've got fog starting to stream through the Golden Gate after a day that was much closer to normal compared to a cool and breezy Sunday and the hot end of the week. Last week, temperatures in the 60s and 70s to around 80 degrees, and we're going to keep this pretty normal June pattern going for a while. Details coming up at First Alert Weather.
All right, turning back to our weather, you may have seen the air quality advisory that's in place through tomorrow. Officials say smoke is drifting our way from wildfires in Canada and could make the air unhealthy to breathe. But Paul, you're saying it's not something we really need to worry about in the Bay Area right now.
Yeah, I don't think ground level air quality is going to be much of an issue for us at all. The bulk of the smoke with this wildfire plume has been staying farther off to our east. This is a look at the satellite perspective from this afternoon. What we had over the Bay Area was a little bit of haze, but it doesn't show up in the view from space. Let's go to the other half of the country, and this is all smoke that has made its way to ground level in more abundance, especially over Minnesota and Wisconsin. That has settled down towards ground level and resulted in an actual air quality alert where the, again, ground level air quality has become unhealthy, especially for sensitive groups. And it looks like this is going to be the part of the country that is going to see the wildfire smoke in more abundance for the next couple of days as well. In the yellow, orange, and red, that's where the wildfire smoke is really going to be concentrated, gradually drifting farther and farther to the south. The fires are burning in Saskatchewan and Alberta and Manitoba, but the flow of wind in the upper levels of the atmosphere is transporting that smoke across much of the country. But at our neck of the woods around the Bay Area, we're not having to deal with that ground level smoke because of the influence of the onshore breeze. So at ground level, the winds are going to be out of the southwest, farther up in the atmosphere, bringing some of that smoke towards us, but the onshore breeze kind of undercuts that plume of smoke and keeps our air quality where we have to breathe it fine. The winds are going to be strongest largely through the Delta. We're going to have that Delta breeze kicking in the next couple of days. 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, not out of the ordinary for early June, but noticeable for the next couple of days. Part of what's going to be keeping our temperatures very close to normal for most of the Bay Area. Even one of the usual warmer spots in Livermore is going to be within about 5 to 7 degrees of average through the weekend, and then a bit more of a drop by the middle of next week. But enjoy this typical June weather pattern while it's here. We're seeing a little bit of June gloom on the horizon, but even at the coast, you saw the sun breaking through for a while this afternoon. Current temperatures anywhere from 61 degrees in the city to 71 degrees in Livermore, the least cool spot on the map, but everyone's temperatures are going to continue dropping off as the fog continues to spread out. It's just hanging out at the coast for now. That's going to change as we head through the rest of tonight, especially after midnight. That's when the fog is going to make more of a push over the Oakland Hills and then well into the inland valleys of the North Bay and into the Santa Clara Valley as well. That's going to have an impact on how much our temperatures warm up. Those temperatures are going to warm up as we head through the day tomorrow, which means looks like pretty good dog walking weather. We have a very pretty dog of the day. This is Storm. Always like a weather-themed dog name. And Storm is going to get to enjoy mild temperatures in Hayward up into the low to mid-70s by tomorrow afternoon. A little bit of that morning cloud cover giving way to abundant sunshine for the rest of the day, so she can get out and enjoy without overheating. Always those cold weather dogs have a little bit more of a problem with that. I don't think she's going to have to worry about it for tomorrow. Quick check of the forecast highs for tomorrow. Coolest in the North Bay in terms of inland parts of the Bay Area. Low to mid-70s there, with other temperatures running in the 60s in San Francisco and Oakland, low 80s down the peninsula, and low to mid-80s east of the Oakland Hills and in the Santa Clara Valley for tomorrow afternoon. And we're going to be running in that same territory through the rest of this week. Temperatures inland fluctuating a little bit, some minor little ups and downs, but low to mid-80s on a widespread basis. Those temperatures bayside are going to also go up and down a little bit, but generally hovering right around 70 degrees. And at the coast, there's going to be hardly any change. You're going to be in the low to mid-60s through the weekend and into early next week. Jules?
Paul, thanks. And when we come back, a Bay Area surfer comes face to face with a shark and escapes without a scratch. We'll have his story of the close call. Picture this, you're so close to a shark you can see into its eyes and it's trying to eat your surfboard. That's what happened to a surfer this weekend along the San Mateo County coast. Jens Heller was enjoying just the warm weather with his family at Montera State Beach, south of Pacifica. He went to catch a wave and says he was about 100 yards out in the ocean when something jolted his surfboard. He got knocked off and then he saw the shark gnawing on his board.
I just remember being in the water, looking back, seeing this black eye and the teeth of the shark.
I would say I was like really unlucky first because these shark attacks are really rare. And then I was super lucky because there was an attack. There was like pretty considerable damage to my board and still I'm here without like any scratch.
Yeah, he's pretty lucky. He says the shark eventually let go of the board. He paddled for his life back to shore. The Department of Fish and Wildlife now analyzing the bite on the surfboard for more clues about the shark. CBS Evening News is next. We'll have more local news for you right here at 7 o'clock on KPIX 5. We'll see you then.